Let's talk about riding on trails with reduced traction. Most riders that come to me, they're really focused on the riding technique, but strategy is actually more important, or at least equal, to the riding technique. So what we have here today is a nice wet day with limited traction. We've got clay on the trail over here, and here we've got some nice loose gravel up on the bank. The idea is we want to be able to make sure that the bike doesn't slip out from underneath us. We have pretty limited traction even with knobbies on the bike. And the way we're going to do that is make sure that the bike is always perpendicular to the ground. So if you're riding down the road and we're riding on flat ground, it's always going to be perpendicular like this. It's when you lean that the bike runs the risk of slipping out, just like in a corner. So if the earth moves up like this, then what's perpendicular is here. This allows me to take the bike and lean it over so the tire is perpendicular to the earth. I'm looking to go adjust the speed to allow it to do that. So that's where the strategy comes in. As I'm looking down the trail, what I'm going to be doing is watching for those two things. What does the traction look like, and what is the bank? Depending on how high the bank goes, depends on how much speed you have to carry into this. Now, where you ride on the bank also makes a difference. If I go too high on this bank, the chances of me blowing over the top, that increases. If I come down too low, I end up on the flat ground, and then I'm sliding into it. I'm more likely to slip out. Now, from a technique standpoint, what we're going to do as the rider is I'm always going to stay perpendicular to the planet. The bike stays perpendicular to the ground. If the bike slips or stalls and slides down the bank, I can recover. If I do get too high and blow across the top, I'm on top of the bike, and again, I have a better chance of recovering. Now, some of you are thinking, but in the dirt, I see dirt bike guys and they hang down inside and they berm all the way through these. And you're absolutely correct. And on a dirt bike, you can do that. They have higher traction, they have less weight. On these adventure bikes, they're very, very heavy. So we need to stay up on the foot pegs of the bike, and we're going to be riding at slower speeds. And our traction, no matter how good your knobbies are on an adventure bike, they are not pure dirt bike tires. So that makes a big difference. So you're always going to stay perpendicular to the planet. The bike is perpendicular to the land. Here's a little more complex approach. We're still going to use that same bank strategy, but instead of just banking into the land, we're going to use this root to wedge the tire. And the reason I want to come into this wedge here to clear it is this root that's running diagonal across the trail is very wet and very slick. If I were to come square on to this root and hit it with my front tire, the chances of it slipping right and falling down are much greater. So that's why I'm going to use that same strategy up and through here, using the bank and angling the bike in so it matches the angle I go in. The alternative is to come straight onto the root, but to use that same wedge strategy here, where the root itself has a natural growth where two sides come in and make that V. And that's where I'm going to put that tire to clear over. On the big adventure bikes like this, they're not dirt bikes, they're not as forgiving. It's very, very important to really focus on developing your riding strategies as much as you concentrate on your riding techniques.